my name is Stephanie, and before we get started, I want you to know that this story does not contain a happy ending. You see, on a cool September evening in 1983, I left a party at my friend Tori's house at 1 a.m., and I never made it home. I was just 16, a high school junior, with all the typical dreams and secrets of a girl my age. That night, Tori's party was the talk of our school. Everyone who was anyone was there, and yes, there was drinking, and lots of it. It was the 80s, and this was the norm. We were living on the edge. The beer flowed freely, the music blared, and we lived like nothing bad could ever happen to us. My mother worked nights at the Desert Inn Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. She was a cocktail waitress, and her shifts meant she wouldn't be home until well after dawn. My father was a long-haul truck driver, often away for weeks at a time, leaving our home empty and quiet. This gave me the freedom to come and go as I pleased, as long as I was careful. And I always was, until that night. As I left the party around 1 a.m., the warmth of the alcohol in my veins began to fade, replaced by the cool desert air. Southwest Las Vegas, where I lived, was mostly undeveloped back then, just stretches of desert with a few sparse houses scattered here and there. The sky was clear, and the only light came from the distant glow of the Las Vegas Strip, its neon signs creating a soft illumination of the night sky, and a comforting reminder of the world that still buzzed with life. But as I walked down that dark, lonely road, the feeling of unease grew stronger with each step. The area was too quiet, almost as if it was holding its breath. I could feel the effects of the beer wearing off, replaced by a gnawing anxiety that I couldn't quite explain. I heard it first, a faint rustling, like the sound of footsteps against the pavement. I paused, my breath catching in my throat, and glanced over my shoulder. Nothing. Just the empty stretch of road behind me, the shadows of the desert and distant houses looming in the darkness. I shook my head, telling myself it was nothing, just the remnants of the party still playing tricks on me. But the sound came again, closer this time, and unmistakable. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, like someone was following me, matching my pace. My heart began to race, and I quickened my steps, the distant lights of the strip seeming impossibly far away. The fear settled in, cold and unrelenting. I could feel someone behind me, the presence heavy and suffocating. I wanted to run, but it was as if my legs were made of lead, dragging me down, making it harder to move. Then, just as I reached the intersection that led to my street, he stepped out from the shadows. The man was tall, his face obscured by a dirty, torn ski mask. The mask was frayed and stained like it had seen far too much use. My breath caught in my throat, and a wave of pure terror washed over me. I tried to scream, but the sound was strangled in my throat. He moved quickly, grabbing me before I could react, his hand clamping over my mouth with a force that left me breathless. I struggled, but his grip was unyielding, his strength overpowering. The knife flashed in the dim light, and before I could even process what was happening, pain erupted through me, sharp and searing. Everything went dark. But that wasn't the end. He didn't leave me on that dark road. Instead, he dragged my lifeless body to his car, stuffing me into the trunk like an old rug. The drive was short, but it felt like an eternity. The cold night air seeping into the confines of the trunk as I drifted in and out of life. When we finally stopped, he pulled my dying body from the trunk. Barely alive, I could see that we were at Lake Mead, and it was still dark, the night sky stretching endlessly over the still waters. He tied my feet to an old tire rim, preparing to dispose of me. With a cold, careless shove, he threw me into the lake, my body sinking slowly into the icy depths, weighed down by the rim that would keep me submerged and hidden from the world. My mother knew something was wrong the moment she came home and I wasn't there. She glanced outside, checked my room, checked her room, checked every room. I was nowhere to be found. Panic set in. She went outside and walked down the street calling for me. It wasn't long before she came upon my blood-stained scarf, just steps from our front door, a chilling reminder of how close I had come to safety. She called the police, and soon they were scouring the streets, desperately searching for me. My face graced the pages of local newspapers, missing persons posters and milk cartons for years to come. but they never found my body. To this day, I lie somewhere in that dark, silent expanse, forgotten by the world. But I'm not alone down here, and I wasn't the first to call Lake Mead my final resting place. Others were here too, and more, likely to come.